And if you are seeing this screen, I am hoping to assure you here that the live stream will start very soon. So please stay tuned. Hello everybody, and welcome back to my own personal YouTube channel. As always, it is very much appreciated. Thank you very much for taking the time to drop by, and I hope you are all doing very well here on this Wednesday afternoon towards the end of March. What I've got coming up for you today is we're going to take another look at a classic review. So this video, as I've also said, will be heading on to my own personal YouTube channel. But before I start the video taking a look at the classic, I do always like to mention my Patreon channel in my YouTube channel videos. Newman Racing, the Patreon channel is called. It's a bit of a mishmash of content, it's fair to say. There is plenty of resources on there. There is some paid content on there. There is some free content on there. And there is also an opportunity to support me moving forward on Patreon as well, if you are into that sort of thing. By no way is it compulsory. So that is Newman Racing over on Patreon, where people can go to for more content. So make sure you head over there now. Right, we're going to take a look now in this video, and we're going to review 5 more classics that took place in the month of March 2026 as we continue our Classic Watch 26 review of the classics that have already taken place. Don't forget, everybody, the Classic Watch 26 cycle actually starts in 2025. The Southern Hemisphere racing that we did on the channel this year from Australia, South Africa and New Zealand, they start their 3-year-old campaign halfway through the previous year. You know, it's not all horses' birthdays are not the 1st of January. So even though we've not had a classic yet in places like Japan, Europe, USA and other places that we take a look at, we have had plenty of classics in the Southern Hemisphere, and it is those that we are going to take a look at today. We're going to take a look at 5 individual classics that ran in the month of March 2026. We're going to start off the video in New Zealand by taking a look at the New Zealand Derby that I think was held at Ellerslie. Then we're going to head to Australia to take a look at the Randwick Guineas. And then we're heading to South Africa for 2 races that took place on the same day. At Turffontein, the SA Fillies Classic and the SA Classic. They are also going to be looked at this in this video. And then we're going to end the video by taking a look at one more classic from Australia. Actually, it was the first classic that was taken out on Classic Watch 2025. And one of the rare Australian classics that allows older fillies to try and make their mark in classics here on Classic Watch. And we're going to take a look at the Coolmore Fillies Classic, a race, I think, which was held in Rose Hill, and a race that was won by Classic Watch hopeful Lady Shenandoah in 2025. The way we're going to do that is the usual fashion. We're going to watch the races in their entirety, and then we're going to take a look at the results. I will probably read you the 1 to 4 in the race, and then we will take a look at the performance of any Classic Watch 26 horses that were in the race, and then we will move on to the next race. So like I said, 5 classics, coming up in this video. So let's get started. I think, like I said, the first classic we're going to take a look at is in New Zealand. And we're going to take a look at the New Zealand Derby. Actually, for the first time in the Classic Watch process, New Zealand racing a new addition to Classic Watch 26. So we're going to head to Ellerslie now and take a look at the New Zealand Derby. And before we take a look at the race, I will say that I was looking really to include the New Zealand Oaks winner from the previous whip video, Oh Hope He Wins, as a Classic Watch selection for this race. But unfortunately, Oh Hope He Wins has since subsequently been transferred from New Zealand and has joined Chris Waller's stable in Australia. So she might be one for the later end Australian Oakses for races like Eagle Farm and Morphettville as the Australian racing ends the season really in areas like Queensland and South Australia, heading towards April and May 2026. So you might still see O'Hope wins on Classic Watch 26, but unfortunately that left us without a runner for the 2025 New Zealand Derby on Classic Watch. So without further ado, let's take a look at the race, shall we? And we will see what we think.
Into field, let's bring it on. Gates open, they're off in the Derby. He jumped away well, that's Gold nearer the inside. Jinky's right there with Geneva. Going forward also out a bit deeper on the track, Taylor Square with Magic Carpet, and right there also Halo's Fire. Sweet Ice will look for cover just in behind those from Lunar Man and Tulsa King in between runners. Then came Wigmore. Ariadne's going to posse up just in advance of it. Well back in the field, Autumn Glory, one of the favourites, is back fifth last, followed by Axel Towering Vision. 2.5 back to Road to Paris, and last is Yamato Satona. So it's keen in the early stages as they work up the rise, leaving the straight. Jinky leads over on the inside, and now deeper Magic Carpet strides forward. Then settling third, Halo's Fire. Geneva is fourth. Then came up on the outside Taylor Square, followed by That's Gold. Ariadne is next from Sweet Ice out deeper with cover though, followed by Tulsa King. 2 lengths away Wigmore as they head into the back. Then came Lunar Man, 2.5 Autumn Glory. She's back fifth last from Towering Vision. Axel, Road to Paris, and Yamato Satona is last in the Derby as they work towards a halfway point nearing the 1200 metres, spread out over 15 lengths. And the pacemaker is Magic Carpet. There's Sweet Ice going forward, made an early move and goes forward now to apply pressure. A long way from home. 2.5 away next, Taylor Square, Geneva and Jinky. Then 2.5 back next is Halo's Fire from Ariadne. No moves as yet. Followed round then by That's Goldie, spotting the leader 7 lengths. Wigmore came next from Tulsa King. 2 back Lunar Man. Autumn Glory would be 10 lengths off the leaders at the 800 metres. And then came Axel, followed by Towering Vision. Then Road to Paris, and last Yamato Satona. Expect the fireworks very shortly in the HKJC Whirlpool New Zealand Derby. And the leader is Sweet Ice, led by 2 from Magic Carpet. Halo's Fire's on the improve, so is That's Gold on the outside. Ariadne's away from the rail, and then came Geneva, Tulsa King, and Autumn Glory's on the prowl as well out deeper. Homeward bound, 350 to go. Sweet Ice the leader. That's Gold is 2 lengths away but closing. Here's Autumn Glory down the outside, and stablemate Road to Paris coming with it. And behind them Geneva, then Wigmore and Yamato Satona at the 150 metres. It's now Autumn Glory tackled by Road to Paris on the outside. Geneva's coming after them. It's Road to Paris and Autumn Glory. Road to Paris. Roger James trains his 7th Derby winner. Road to Paris beat the second of Autumn Glory. Third at the line as they went across was Geneva a run, and Wigmore likewise. In behind those next close up we had Sweet Ice, Towering Vision, Yamato Satona, Halo's Fire, then That's Gold, followed over by Tulsa King, then Lunar Man, a gap back Magic Carpet. With them also then as they went across was Axel, Taylor Square, Ariadne, and back of the tail was Jinky. Roger James, the Derby King, has done it again. Road to Paris, number 3, George Rook. The 7th Derby success for Roger James in this race, and the second for...
I thought that was a fairly good performance by the winner on the day. It was unfortunate that Autumn Glory, I thought, might have been slightly impeded in her run, it's fair to say, leading towards the end of the New Zealand Derby. But the race is what it was, and the race was won by the gelding, unfortunately. Gelding takes classic glory in the New Zealand Derby. Road to Paris is the winner. The horse sired by Circus Maximus out of a dam called Spirit of Heaven, who herself was sired by Savabeel. Road to Paris was trained by Roger James and Robert Wellwood, and ridden on the day by George Rook. And the horse ran to a racing post rating of 118 to take out the Classic. In second place was the First Filly, past the post. It was owned by from Yulong Investments. It was also second in the Oaks. Autumn Glory is the horse, a horse sired by Ocean Park out of a dam called Venus's Dream, who herself is sired by Viscount. That horse also trained by Roger James and ridden by Robert Wellwood, and ridden on the day by Wiremu Pin. And the horse ran to a Racing Post rating of 110 on that day to secure her second classic runner-up, I think. In third place on the day was the first colt past the post, Geneva. Geneva was sired by Time Test out of a dam called Charlie Rose, who herself was sired by Piero. Geneva was trained by Kyle Hoskin and ridden by Ben E. Thompson, and Geneva secured a Racing Post rating of 114 for finishing third. And in fourth place on the day was another gelding, Wigmore. Wigmore sired by Swain S out of a dam called Del Mondo, who herself was sired by More Than Ready. Wigmore trained by Kaylee Myers and ridden by Kelly Myers on the day. Wigmore running to a Racing Post rating of 113 on the day. So yeah, pretty good performance there by the Circus Maximus sired gelding, Road to Paris, to take out the New Zealand Derby for trainer Roger James and Robert Wellwood and jockey George Rook. Like I said, unfortunately, no Classic Watch 26 participants in the New Zealand Derby this year, unfortunately. But hopefully we will be back. If Classic Watch returns in 2027, hopefully we will be back to have another go. Right, the next race we're going to take a look at now is we're going to head back to Australia now in this video for the first look at an Australian Classic. And we are going to take a look at the Randwick Guineas, a race held in New South Wales. Classic Watch 25, luckily this time, had two runners heading for Classic Glory, the two Godolphin horses. We had Attica, who had already won the Group 1 Spring Champion Stakes, running in his first Classic of the season. And we also had Green Spaces, who was the winner of the Group 3 Spring Stakes held at Newcastle earlier in the year. So two solid contenders for Classic Watch in this first Australian video of the season, on the first Australian Classic of the video, So without further ado, let's head to Randwick now. Let's take a look at the race, and then after the race, we will see what we think.
Starter about to send the three-year-olds off and does so. And She's a Alibi has jumped out fairly well. Dusty. Starter about to send the three-year-olds off and does so. And She's a Alibi has jumped out fairly well. Dusty Bay towards the inside is the initial leader from Ninja. Autumn Boy on the improve together with She's a Alibi in a whitish position early. Providence just easing behind them. Attica goes forward. Attica's bursting through there and keeps She's a Alibi 3 wide in the early stages of the race. A couple further back to Rivellino, then Decorum and Green Spaces. Last of all, the long shot Dusty Bay leads and Ninja pounces on the spot outside the leader. Dusty Bay and neck in front to Ninja now. They're followed then by Providence, who's gained a very good position on the inside of Autumn Boy. Then came Attica and She's Alibi parks up on the outside. So the favourites running 6 at this point. 2 lengths away to Decorum. Then came Rivellino and Green Spaces. Last of all, Dusty Bay at the 600, a length on Ninja, then Providence. Autumn Boy 1 out, 1 back. Attica 3 back the fence, a half the outside to She's a Alibi, and Luke Nolan starting to stoke up the filly approaching the turn. Dusty Bay shows the way. Providence has had a good run coming off heels. Ninja just lost a bit of ground. Attica being stoked up on the fence. Autumn Boy and 2 further back to She's a Alibi, who's starting to wind up. Ninja moved up, hits the lead from Autumn Boy. She's a Alibi chiming in, and She's a Alibi got the upper hand from Autumn Boy. Then Ninja, Attica, Rivellino from further back, but the filly pins the ears back. What a performance. She's a Alibi, different class in the Guineas. Beat Autumn Boy, Attica 3rd. Not sure 4th, Rivellino, Green Spaces, Ninja got tired. Then Providence, Dusty Bay and Decorum was last in. Wow, She's a Alibi. Just took a bit of winding up on the point of the home turn, the filly, but hasn't she been different class, exploding clear over the last 100 metres. So strong. This filly by Saxon Warrior, the Japanese stallion, out of the mare She's a Gypsy, just the second filly to win the Randwick Guineas. Trained by Moody and Coleman.
Another good performance there, I thought, to take out the Randwick Guineas for the filly. So no gelding has won this race, and like the commentator said, only the second filly to take out the race. She's at Alibi. The race over a mile at Randwick. She's at Alibi was the winner. She's at Alibi, horse sired by Saxon Warrior, out of a dam called She's a Gypsy, who herself was sired by Shaft. She's at Alibi was trained by Peter Moody and Catherine Coleman and ridden on the day by Luke Nolan. And the horse secured a racing post rating of 120 for winning the Randwick Guineas. Good performance, it's fair to say. Second place on the day was a colt home, the Autumn Boy. The Autumn Boy was second again, sired by the Autumn Sun, out of a dam called Rose Garden, who herself was sired by Savabeel. Autumn Boy trained by Chris Waller and ridden by James McDonald, and he secured a racing post rating of 114 for finishing second in that race. Classic placed in the race, but well beaten on the day, was the first Classic Watch 26 horse of the race, Attica. Secured third place, Attica, sired by Lonro, out of a dam called Savatiano, who herself was sired by Street Cry. Attica was trained by Joseph Pride and ridden on the day by Adam Hieronymus, racing post rating of 109. Fourth place on the day was Rivellino, a colt sired by Too Darn Hot, out of a dam called Intrinsic, who herself was sired by So You Think. Rivellino was trained by Chris Lees and ridden on the day by Jason Collett, a mark of 106 on the day. And the other Classic Watch 25 runner we had on the day, Green Spaces. Well, he could only finish sixth, unfortunately, beaten 6 3/4 lengths. Green Spaces sired by Street Boss, out of a dam called Outdoor, who herself was sired by Reduced Choice. Green Spaces trained by Bjorn Baker and ridden on the day by Rachel King. He was another to secure a racing post rating of 106 on the day. So, yeah, slightly disappointing, really, that Classic Watch 25 had two runners go round there in the Randwick Guineas. Two Godolphin runners, Attica and Green Spaces. And sadly, neither of them proved up to winning the race. But we did secure another classic placed effort, courtesy of Attica, to add to our list. It's important, really, that I do touch really on just how tough these races are to take out. I know I do make it look ridiculously easy on occasion, but I never take these classic wins for granted. Every one is hard-earned, and they are very difficult races to win. I am just very good. You know, it is what it is. But so that was the 2025-26 Randwick Guineas in the can. We'll take a quick look now at Attica, one of the Classic Watch 26 horses. People see that Attica's now had 7 runs, 3 wins, a second and a third. All this season, the horse was unraced at 2, and the prize money now is 1,512,700 for Attica. People will see she's at the horse, the colt, has had another run out of the Classic, where the horse was 8th against older horses in the George Ryder Stakes. That race took place on the 21st of March 2026. The fact that we're not talking about Green Spaces would probably indicate that there are more classics to come in later videos for him. But Attica at the minute has just run in the one Classic and finished third in the Randwick Guineas. If we take a look at the entries of the horse, you will see that the horse has entered in the Doncaster Mile and the Queen Elizabeth Stakes in the first half of April. I'm not sure if there is going to be any Derby tilts for Attica. The horse has won a Group 1 over 1 mile 2 furlongs. So I, for sure, would definitely like to see the horse line up in some sort of Derby at some point. But it remains to be seen whether the horse will be given his opportunity to do that. I certainly hope he will. Right, we're going to leave Australia now, and we're going to now take a look at two races that took place on the same day in South Africa. This is our second visit to South Africa in the Classic Watch 26 series. We began taking a look at the South African Classics in the last video. Two more decent races to show you today. The first race, these races are over 1,800 metres, 1 mile, 1 furlong. The first race we're going to take a look at is the SA Fillies Classic, a race that was held at Turffontein, I think. And Classic Watch 25 had by now started to chance a few more South African horses. We decided to chance the filly Charge It, who had managed to win, as people saw if they look at the Roll of Honour. Charge It had managed to win the listed War of Athena handicap in the lead up to this race on the 27th of December 2025. So I was hopeful of a fair run from what was the second filly that we had chanced in the South Africa horses after Princess and Cool, who managed to finish fourth in the Cape Guineas. So our hopes were on Charge It in this race for the fillies. Excuse me. Let's take a look at the race now, shall we? And then we will see what we think.
We're set to go in the South African Fillies Classic from the 1800, and they dispatched to a very nice start for them. Daisy Jones hopped away well. Hazy Daisy is up in second early on. Tina Lovelace is racing up there in third, then Scarlet Heart and Merryweather. Golden Palm and Drumna Drocket, they race together. They 5 lengths off the leader. They followed by Charge It. The pace is not all that strong up front. In behind those came Low Felt Lily and Little Miss Million, and they're not going quickly. There's 8 lengths in it first to last as Hazy Daisy, the favourite's been taken off to the frontier through the 1400, and Hazy Daisy led it by 3/4 of a length from Tina Lovelace racing second. In third is Daisy Jones, the white cap. Merryweather is back in fourth, only 3 lengths off the leader. 2 lengths behind that is Scarlet Heart. Golden Palm gives that leader 7 lengths start. A further 2 then back to Charge It and Drumna Drocket. Racing further back is Low Felt Lily, who's got 9 lengths to make up towards the back end of the field here, and that's racing 9 lengths off them now as they're about to switch it on and turn it into the home straight here. 800 metres left to go, and Hazy Daisy's going to bring the Filkebostra Fillies Classic field into the home straight, led it by 1.5 lengths from Tina Lovelace in second. Daisy Jones, Scarlet Heart, behind that is Merryweather, then came Golden Palm, and behind that 4 to go. Drumna Drocket's followed by Charge It, further back to Little Miss Million and Low Felt Lily. Hazy Daisy appears in trouble, 400 to go. Taking over Daisy Jones, but Hazy Daisy down the inside is fighting back. Golden Palm, Scarlet Heart in between runners. Behind that one came Drumna Drocket now with 200 metres left to go. Hazy Daisy has a resurgence here, picked up the lead again. Golden Palm is finishing out the back, but it's Hazy Daisy in the Fillies Classic. Hazy Daisy on the outside is Golden Palm. Hazy Daisy came back and fought back like a good thing to beat Golden Palm in second. Tied for third here. Hazy Daisy, she's beaten all the fillies again. Now for the Oaks. Unbelievable how she fights back after going off to the front. There was no pace on, and Hazy Daisy has fought back strongly. Trent Mayhew's first Grade 1 winner. And unbelievable stuff here at Turffontein, because she looked in trouble 400 out. Golden Palm is flying up to run into second.
Yes, unfortunately, Golden Palm, Group 1 winning South African 2-year-old. The horse hasn't really translated its form into these classics, sadly for connections, but the horse wasn't at any point one of ours. But yeah, that was a very game performance, I thought, there by the winner, Hazy Daisy, to take out the South African Fillies Classic, sponsored by Wilder Bogsdrift. Hazy Daisy, the horse sired by Act of War, out of a dam called Rabido, who herself is sired by Eightfold Path. Hazy Daisy, trained by Corner Spears and ridden by Trent Mayhew, and the horse achieved a Racing Post rating of 115 to win that South African Fillies Classic. Second place on the day was Golden Palm, a horse sired by Master of My Fate out of a dam called Crossett, who herself was sired by VAR. Golden Palm trained by Alan Grief and ridden on the day by Craig Zaki. She achieved a Racing Post rating of 112 for finishing second on the day. In third place was Scarlet Heart. Scarlet Heart sired by Karari out of a dam called Two Hearts, who herself was sired by Twice Over. Scarlet Heart's trained by Farney Bronkhorst and ridden on the day by M. Yenny. I'm familiar with the first name of that jockey. And Scarlet Heart also ran to a Racing Post rating of 109. Got to take a look at the Classic Watch entry now. Charge It. Unfortunately, the horse could only finish sixth. And that really went down as a pretty disappointing performance on the day. I was expecting for a little bit better, it's safe to say, for Charge It. Charge It, sired by Gimme the Green Light, out of a dam called Congestion Charge, who herself was sired by Dictat. Charge It, trained by Alison Wright and ridden on the day by Sereno Moodley, a Racing Post rating of 107 for the South African fillies, sixth on the day. Charge It. Disappointing run, I think it's fair to say, although she did manage to beat a few of them, but she didn't beat Hazy Daisy, who, in my opinion, she ran out a very good winner on the day of the SA Fillies Classic. We can take a quick look at Charge It now before we move on to the next race, and you people will see that Charge It has had no more runs since she managed to finish sixth in that Guineas on the 7th of March 2026. She was also beaten in a Group 2 as well, the Gauteng Fillies Guineas, in a race where she finished runner-up. That was after winning the War of Athena Stakes that we took a look at, the handicap, a listed race, which she won on the 27th of December. She's also been beaten in a Group 3 as well. And she was beaten there in the Ducats Africa Fillies Mile, which is a Group 3 race held in November 2025. Very interesting horse, I think it's fair to say. The horse now, Charge It, has had a few runs in her career, 7 wins, and she's had 2 firsts and 2 seconds. 4 out of 7 in the first 3, and she has won 448,282 South African rand up to this point. Is she an Oaks filly? Well, time will tell. Be interesting to see if we see her again in any more South African classics up to this point. Right, the next race we're going to take a look at is also in South Africa, a race that took part on the same day, the SA Classic for the Colts, again, over 1 mile, 1 furlongs. Again, Classic Watch 25 had picked up a Colt in this race. We had decided by then to side with Trust. Trust was the winner of the Group 2 Dingaans back in the 29th of November 2025. So the horse had already won a pattern race over 1 mile, and I was hoping that Trust might be able to make his presence felt in this classic. It was yet another horse that we had tried in South Africa, but it's very tricky to just open up a theatre like we have done with South Africa and New Zealand in this video and hammer home classic successes straight away. But yeah, I was fairly optimistic when Trust lined up here in the SA Classic on the 7th of June of a fair run. So without further ado, let's head back to Turffontein now and see what we think.
For the second leg of South Africa's Triple Crown, 1,800 metres, and away and racing for the SA Classic, and all systems go as quickly out the machine goes off to lead with the Radio Star and Yippee Kaye with the red cap circling runners the far side. The pace is much hotter than the fillies equivalent. Behind them is Trust in fourth, racing at least 7 lengths off the leader. Jan van Rooyen is 2 behind that. Then came Grand Empire. Errol Flynn gives the leader about 10, 11, 12 lengths start even. One Eye on Vegas is racing second to last, and the Guineas winner Split the Eights is last and racing 15 lengths off the leader as they're going a cracking gallop in the second leg of the Triple Crown. as they come to the side of the course. 1,200 metres to go and all systems goes. The leader by 2. Yippee Kaye's racing second. Radio Stars back in third. Then a gap of about 8 or 9 lengths back to Trust in fourth position. Jan van Ooyen's got a dozen lengths to make up. Grand Empire in behind those. Errol Flynn. Wyan Ion Vegas is 15 lengths off the leader with Split the Eights, the trailer. They turning for home in the Hong Kong Jockey Club Whirlpool South African Classic. 800 metres to go. All systems goes. The leader by 2 from Yippee Kaye and Radio Star. The rest are in a pack now. They've got 8-9 lengths to make up Trust. Jan van Ooyen confidently ridden behind those. Grand Empire's down there inside. Further back to One Eye on Vegas. 4:20 to go. All systems go. Still the leader by 2. Yippee Kaye. Then came Radio Star. No, Jan van Ooyen's been asked the question. Grand Empire. Down the centre is Trust. And One Eye on Vegas is running on strongly. 2:20 to go. In front is Radio Stars. Picked up the lead. Yippee Kaye, Trust and Grand Empire with One Eye on Vegas. Here comes Grand Empire and Trust. Grand Empire, Trust is finishing strongly. It's Grand Empire and Trust. It's very close. Grand Empire, Trust. Trust maybe, or Grand Empire. It's very close. One Eye on Vegas, and on the outside Split the Eights. Very close between Grand Empire and on the outside Trust. It's ping pong, one or the other. Well, this was mighty, mighty close. I honestly don't know who's won the South African Classic. It looked like Trust may have got his nose down on the line, but Grand Empire still very much alive down the inside. And these two quicken up from off the pace. Grand Empire and Trust. It's Serena Mudley this side, Craig Zaki the far side, Trust and Grand Empire. Here comes the line. They'll put their noses down together.
Heartbreak for followers of Classic Watch 25 there in the SA Classic, as Classic Watch 25 horse Trust just chinned on the line there. So close to our first South African Classic victory. The first season we have tried. Heroic effort there from Trust. I thought when they first went past the post in natural speed, I thought I'd done it. I thought Classic Watch 25 had landed its first South African Classic winner. But it was only then, sadly, when I looked at the replay, that they showed the replay, and heads up, heads down. And the head down at the right time belonged to Grand Empire, who has taken out the Classic, the SA Classic at Terrefontaine. Grand Empire, a horse sired by sired by Vercingetorix, out of a dam called Palace of Dreams, who herself was sired by Patala Palace. Grand Empire was trained by Sean Tarry and ridden on the day by Craig Zaki. A racing post rating of 116 was gained on the day. Beaten a short head, and I think this might be the first South African Classic placed horse for Classic Watch Trust. A horse sired by Heavenly Blue, out of a dam called Frankley, who herself was sired by Frankel. Trust was trained by Candice and Tammy Dawson and ridden by Sereno Moodley on the day, and that horse also ran to a racing post rating of 116. An absolutely heroic effort on the day, it's fair to say. Third place on the day was, like they said, the Guineas winner. Split the Eights was third. Split the Eights, sired by Vercingetorix, this one a colt, out of a dam called Massachusetts, who herself was sired by Trippy. Split the Eights, trained by Mike and Matthew de Kock, and ridden on the day by a jockey called R. Danielson. Again, not entirely familiar with these South African jockeys' first names at this point. Split the Eights, unfortunately, was third on the day, and he ran to a racing post rating of 112. On fourth on the day was One Eye on Vegas. One Eye on Vegas, sired by Buffalo Bill Cody, out of a dam called Caribou Coy, who herself was sired, who herself was sired by Fastnet Rock. One Eye on Vegas, another one trained by Mike and Matthew de Kock and ridden on the day by Gavin Lorena. Racing post rating of 111 on the day, with the Cape Guineas winner, Jan van Ooyen, could only finish fifth on the day this year, ridden by Callan Murray and ridden by Mike and Matthew de Kock. So the de Kock finishing 3rd, 4th and 5th in that race there, the SA Classic. But victory goes to trainer Sean Terry and jockey Craig Zaki with the Vercingetorix sired gelding Grand Empire. Unfortunately, the second gelding that you have seen win in this Classic review, just narrowly defeating the Classic Watch Colt Trust on the day. Fantastic race, one of the most enjoyable classics of the year so far, if only for the near miss of the Classic Watch 25 horse on that day. People can take a look at Trust before we move on to the next race. People will see that the horse hasn't really had any more runs. The horse in his career has now ran 6 times, 2 wins, 2 seconds and 2 thirds. And the horse has currently earned, just tell you somewhere there, 1,026,594 South African rand in his career. You'll see there, last runs have been very solid. The horse also was placed in the Randwick Guineas. The horse finished 3rd in that. The horse was also 3rd in the Got the Green Light Stakes, all after winning the Group 2 Dingarms on 29th of November 2025. Looks a very solid horse, culminating in that Group 1 Classic placed effort, up in trip to 1,800 metres for the first time in his career. Be very interesting to see if this is a South African Derby horse. You know, we're looking really for Guineas horses to step up in trip wherever we identify horses to try and give ourselves as many runs as possible. And this Candice Tammy Dawson trained colt did nothing wrong at all over 1,800 metres in the SA Classic. And it will be interesting to see if the horse lines up again in any more South African Classics in the second part of the 2025-2026 South African 3-year-old season. Heading back now to Australia for what is the final Classic of this video. And like I said, a race Classic Watch 25 managed to take out last year. The Coolmore Fillies Classic, a race for older fillies and mares as well as the Classic generation. So this really is a race where the Classic generations of Classic Watch can meet. And this is exactly what's happened this year. We had the 4-year-old Manal going round for what is really Classic Watch 25. A horse taking part in her first Classic. She never ran in any Classics at 3, sadly. But we were represented by a 3-year-old in this race. And it's all the 3-year-old Classic winner from earlier in the year, the Ollie Kirk sired Ole Dancer, was back for more Classic action as well in this race. This race only 7.5 furlongs. I think it is the shortest race we take a look at anywhere in the world regarding Classics. But it is an interesting race because it allows the fillies and mares of generations to match up. 3-year-old Ollie Dancer and 4-year-old Manal went round for various incarnations of Classic Watch in this race. Can Classic Watch 26 do what Classic Watch 25 did and take out this race for a second consecutive year? Let's see what happened, shall we? And then we will see what we think.
And racing now. And Savvy Halley began very fast wide out. And Savvy's going to lead initially from Manal. Jenny the Fox being sent forward. And Sanso's right in the thick of the action as well. Arctic Glamour right behind them. Further back to Ole Dancer on the outside is Silla Cap. Then came Melody again, Lazura. Verona Rose. Vivier back on the fence from Yu Wang Shahisha. 2 lengths last of all is Firestorm. Savvy Halley got to the front at the 1,000. A length on Jenny the Fox. Sanso gets a great spot 3rd. Followed by Arctic Glamour is positioned down on the inside of Manal. Then came Ole Dancer from Silla Cap. Lazura back in the field out wide. Followed by Melody again. Then came Verona Rose, Yu Wang 3 wide. Vivier being shuffled back from Shahisha and Firestorm. So it's Savvy Halley looking to make all in the Coolmore Classic. 600 to go. A length on Jenny the Fox. Sanso leaders back. Then came Manal. Ole Dancer wider out. Arctic Glamour, Silla Cap next to them. And then came Lazura, who's a long way off them as they turn. Savvy Halley swings in front. Sanso's at a terrific run and is the first to throw down the challenge. Savvy Halley in front of Sanso. Melody again's creeping right up the inside and restricted room. Now Lazura starting to let down wide out. She's coming with a big run at Artie Clemmer through the middle. It's Lazura, Artie Clemmer, Melody again up the inside. Artie Clemmer and Lazura. Lazura won the Coolmore Classic. A half length to Artie Glamour. Vivier charging home. Got up to run third in front of Melody again. Then Sanso from Manal and Silicap. Savvy Halley was next, followed by Shahisha, Verona Rose, Firestorm, Ole Dancer, Yu Wang, and Jenny the Fox. Lazura has covered some ground. Oh, she's really benefited by the first up run on the Millie Fox. She's come on leaps and bounds from that. Time is 1:28.39.
Very good, fast finishing run there, it's fair to say, by the 4-year-old filly Lazura. So Classic Watch 25 unable to defend the Coolmore Classic crown this year. Unfortunately, the two runners well beaten on the day. But the winner of the day was Lazura. Lazura sired by Snitzel out of a dam called Laguna Azura, a Japanese sired mare who herself was out of Heart's Cry. Lazura trained by Chris Waller and ridden by James McDonald. A racing post rating of 117 secured for that victory. Only by a neck though. Don't forget this race is also a handicap. Arctic Glamour was second in the race. Arctic Glamour sired by Frosted out of a dam called Far Too Flashy, who herself was sired by Galileo. Arctic Glamour was trained by Gerald Bryan and Sterling Alexiou and ridden on the day by Thomas Sherry. Racing post rating of 110 for that filly. And in third place on the day was Vivier, beaten a neck. Vivier, a mare sired by Hellbent out of a dam called Head Over Heels, who herself was sired by Fastnet Rock. Vivier trained by Kieran Marr and ridden on the day by Rhys Jones. That filly ran to a racing post rating of 113 on the day to secure a third placed effort. We'll take a look at the Classic Watch horses, well beaten on the day. Manal, a horse can only finish 9th on the day in her first Classic, the 4-year-old, sired by Tassort out of a dam called Red Lodge, who herself was sired by Midshipman. Manal trained by Michael Friedman and ridden by Jason Collett. A racing post rating gained on the day from Manal of 107, which she must have had a lot of weight in the race because she actually was given a higher rating than the horse Melody Again, who finished 4th on the day. So Manal came out of the race at the figures quite well, really, in finishing 9th. It's fair to say that the 3-year-old didn't. Ole Dancer could only finish 12th on the day. Two more disappointing efforts, really, to end this Classic Watch review. Ole Dancer, sired by Ole Kirk, out of a dam called Dancers, who herself was sired by Hassan. Ole Dancer, trained by Peter Moody and Catherine Coleman, and ridden by Zach Lloyd on the day. Only a racing post rating of 90 for the 3-year-old filly on that day. And she could only finish 12th out of 14 runners. A very disappointing outcome, it's fair to say there, after taking out the Coolmore Classic on Classic Watch 25. We'll take a look at the two horses. Manal has had a fantastic career, really. Very difficult to call her a failure. 6 wins, 3 seconds and 2/3. The horse has won 5 Group 2 races and 1 Group 1 race in her career. And she has currently earned 2,166,200 Australian guineas in her career. Will she be back for the Coolmore Classic next year? I think that is the only race she is eligible to run in. I think all the rest are 3-year-old only, the race we looked at. But yeah, very hard to call Manal a failure at any stage. Ole Dancer, well, she's really tailed off a bit. It's disappointing to see. She has tailed off her form somewhat after managing to win the Schweppes 1,000 Guineas back on the 18th of October 2025 for Classic Watch 26. This is a classic winner, it's fair to remember. But since then, the horse hasn't managed to get her head in front. She's been beaten in a listed race, the Desirable Stakes, and she's finished third in the Group 1 Surround Stakes, and she was 12th there in the Group 1 Coolmore Classic against her elders. Has to go down as a pretty disappointed run, it's fair to say there, from Ole Dancer, only finishing 12th out of 14 on the day. So yeah, that concludes the review of these 5 classics that have took place in the month of March 2026. There was another one. There was the race broadsiding took out for Classic Watch 2025. I think it's the Randwick Guineas over 10 furlongs. That will be the first race we take a look at in the next review video. So we're still only around 1 or 2 classics behind now, coming up towards the current day. But yeah, 5 very interesting classics ran throughout the month of March in 3 Southern Hemisphere countries. It was disappointing that Classic Watch 26 couldn't get his head in front in any of those races, but the South African Horse Trust certainly earned a place in our hearts with a heroic effort in the SA Classic. Attica also ran well with credit to finish placed as well in the Randwick Guineas. So yeah, so near and yet so far, I think this video will go down as for Classic Watch 2026. But the site was still in there, punching its weight, punching above its weight, my own little site, and I think it's still hanging on in there, despite no classic victories in this video. Right, I think I can think about ending this video here now, this review video. Thank you very much to everybody who has sat and watched it with me as I've made it. I hope you have enjoyed watching it as much as I have enjoyed making it. What I can do towards the end of the video is I will give you an opportunity to watch the Classic Watch 26 review playlist. I think this is now the 4th video in this Classic Watch 26 review video playlist, and the second standalone Classic Watch 26 video. Some were reviewed alongside the final end of Classic Watch 25. But yeah, I can give you an opportunity to watch that playlist at the end of the video. And I can also give you all an opportunity to subscribe to my own personal YouTube channel, should you wish to, after watching this video. If you enable your notifications correctly and do a little bit of work with the settings of them, you can get it so YouTube does not miss a video of mine. As soon as I upload a video, YouTube will give you a notification that it is there. That way you will not miss any of my content moving forward. But yeah, as well as the Classic Watch 26 playlist, that's about all I've got for you in this video. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch it. What have we got coming up this week? Well, it's the middle of the week, really. 25th of March here. I've taken a look ahead of the settings. I think we are a classic-free week this week, with there's races such as the Australian Cup taking place, though. Plenty of Group 1 action, and the American Classic trials go up a little notch as well, with a couple of Grade 1 trials, the Florida Derby and the Arkansas Derby, as the Classic trials of America go up a notch. We're moving towards now those races in May, really, in America. We've also got the first Classic in Japan, which I think takes place in the second half of April. And we've still got Australia and South Africa to round up from the Southern Hemisphere. I do think that New Zealand has possibly finished with our look at the New Zealand Derby in this video. But we have done all 4 New Zealand Classics for the first time in the Classic Watch series. Just a shame that there was no Classic Watch victories in any of those races. Sorry, I think the best we managed was a Little Brown Dress. I think was 4th in one of the Classics as well. I think Origin of Love might have filled the same place as well. But the middle distance horses, the Derby and the Oaks, unfortunately, there was no Classic Watch runners this year. Origin of Love never made the Oaks. And then I was going to side with the Oaks winner in the Derby, but the horse never ran. So without further ado, I will think about leaving this video now here. Take care of yourselves, everybody. Look after yourselves and your loved ones. Moving forward, also National Hunt Racing, the Grand National, is away less than a fortnight at Aintree. So plenty to look forward to, depending on whatever code of horse racing you like. I hope to be back at some point on either the YouTube or my Patreon, Newman Racing, with some more content. But for now, I will bid you a fond farewell. Take care, everybody. Look after yourselves and your loved ones. I will see you soon, hopefully, and goodbye.